What do you say to the black community?
We need to raise our game as black people. We have to stop bitching and moaning and whining about systemic racism and raise our effing game. That's what I'm all about.
How do you win over the people who think like Charlemagne?
Tell the truth. They're beginning to rethink their assumptions. They know fatherlessness is a bigger problem than systemic racism. They see the schools. They see the crime. It's the person who's driving, who's listening that I'm talking to.
Welcome to Arentainment. We are going to watch a segment of the PBD Podcast of Patrick David, who is stationed in Miami. An amazing guy, an amazing podcast. And he had Larry Elder on his show, and they were talking about his engagement with Charlemagne. I want to address what Larry Elder said about this engagement.
Your friend, your good buddy, your compadre, Charlemagne the God.
Yes.
We mentioned him a little bit earlier.
Yes.
You were on his show, The Breakfast Club, massive audience, massive black audience. Breaking news, I just found out you're black. That's crazy. I just found that out. Yeah.
Wait, what?
This just happened. Amazing. Respect. But you were on about 2 weeks ago, and then he did a reaction video, and he so politely called you the donkey of the day.
Yeah,
and he
I saw
went ham on you, brother.
I saw that.
So, he's got a huge voice in the black community, obviously. What do you say to him? What do you say to the black community that they think you're the donkey when you're just like, look, personal power, personal self-improvement, accountability.
Well, he called me the donkey of the day, as I recall, because I didn't make the debate stage, and I complained about it. Mm-hmm. And I was on his show saying that there's no systemic racism in America, and here Larry is complaining about the systemic way he did not make the debate stage.
Yeah.
That's what he said. To me, that made no sense. And frankly, I believe he called me the donkey of the day because if you look at the comments, and I have a friend who read every single one of them, and these are his people, 85% of them thought he got his butt kicked.
Yep.
Yeah. So would you go back again?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I'm tentatively scheduled to go back.
How do you win over not only Charlemagne, but the people who think like Charlemagne? Because there's millions of them.
Tell the truth.
A question of Adam. This is, by the way, Adam Sosnick. He has his own channel, but he has been the liberal of that panel at PBD. And I hardly agree with anything that he said, but it was definitely a good question. Let me rewind a little bit and listen to what Larry Elder said.
Millions of them.
Tell the truth.
Yeah.
Tell the truth.
The truth is so powerful. Tell the truth towards the people that are listening to Charlemagne and all those channels that the Democrats are listening to.
I've been doing this for 40 years, what you guys are doing, been for 40 years. And I've noticed something. When somebody calls up, and I always took pride in taking people who disagree with me, no one in the middle of a conversation is going to go, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
I've had an epiphany. It's the person who's driving, who's listening that I'm talking to. And so I know that Charlemagne and the guy's not going to go, Larry.
That's a good point of Larry Elder. So you talk with a person on the phone. In this case, Larry Elder was a radio host for 40 years. And he talked with people that called him up at his show live. And Larry Elder was aware that that person that is calling that has pride and, you don't want to admit that you're wrong. Your arguments are being destroyed, but then you don't want to listen what the other party is saying and just hold on to your own views. But Larry Elder knows that, and he said that he's not actually talking to that person, but he is talking to the driver that is listening to the radio show, that has the moment to reflect on what happened in that conversation, that can learn to think through difficult topics. And then he has two different worldviews about certain topics, and that was a good point.
I go, Larry, I never thought about this. You're right. There is no systemic racism. I need to rethink my assumptions. He's not going to do that. But his listeners will. And if you look at the comments, many of them have. Not saying they suddenly become card-carrying, Trump-supporting Republicans, but they're beginning to rethink their assumptions. They know fatherlessness is a bigger problem than system.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to rethink your assumptions. So from a young age, people taught you certain things. They taught you that the society is structured this way and life is unfair. You need handouts, or you need to remove the black father of the house, or there is systemic racism, or just you have to work hard for the things that you want to achieve. All those different kind of views are there. And that which you are being exposed the most, in normal cases, then those viewpoints you will hold to. You will see them as the truth. And you will live by those assumptions. So you think, for example, nowadays that the police is just wanting to kill any black person, because that is what the Democrats have been telling us for years, especially during the Trump era. When Trump was president, they invented all kinds of stories because they knew that they could hype up the black community into frenzy, making them emotional, making them afraid. so you can control them again. And you can invent a narrative about the racist Republicans, the racist Trump. So people will vote for you. It's all about power for the Democrats. It's not about truth. That makes it even more impressive of Larry Elder that he could reach the audience of Charlemagne. And that is why Democrats are so afraid of inviting Republicans, because they know the power of reason, they know the power of logic, and they know that their audience will hear the viewpoints of the Republicans, and they will also hear the critique towards the Democrats. And they don't want their voters to hear that. So they hardly invite real candidates, real critical people like Larry Elder, like Thomas Sowell, like so many other black intellectuals in America, so they can control their own side. Let's listen to Larry Elder.
Systemic racism. They see the schools, they see the crime.
Well,
Can I give you one quick story?
go for it.
When I was in high school, there was a guy named Gilbert, and he was a iffy kind of student. He wasn't a bad student, but he wasn't somebody that was academically oriented as I was. I told you my dad used to have a cafe, and I didn't like working for him. So when my dad and I stopped talking to each other at 15 years old, I decided to get me a job in the summer with the county, LA County. You had to go downtown and take this big test. It must have been 300 or 400 people. This is in the late 60s. Most of the people there were white. And one of the guys taking the test was this guy named Gilbert from my high school. And I saw him, and it was a 3-hour exam, math, reading comprehension, stuff like that. And then you had to go out in the hall, and then they grade the paper, and you come back in. So I see Gilbert. He goes, "Hey, Larry, what's up?" I said, "What's going on, Gilbert?" He said, "Watch out. They're going to get us." I said, "Who's going to get us?" He said, "The white people who are grading these exams."
Yeah.
I said, "They're going to get us?" He said, watch them flunk us." So we go back in, about 300 people, as I said. They call out your name if you are to remain, meaning you pass the test. And then they would give you a bunch of options for jobs. And if you didn't get your name called, you had to leave. So I'm sitting there calling off the names. Of course, my name was called, as were the names of a number of black people. And then you hear a screeching of chairs as the people who weren't called get up to leave. So Gilbert walks right by me, and he says, as he sees me sitting there, obviously my name was one of those who was called, who was named. He said, "What did I tell you?" How can somebody make an argument that white people are going to flunk black people? I'm black. I'm sitting there. I'm not flunked. And he walks by me and he says, "What did I tell you?" This is the mentality. This is this is an illness. And a lot of black people have that. We have to raise our game.
That's such a good example. You know, you see other black people succeed, and you didn't succeed for whatever reason. You know, maybe you didn't pass a test because of other things that the jury cannot abide by. You know, that's reality. If you didn't study well enough for whatever reason, then you didn't pass a test. So it was just an objective test, and you didn't pass it, while other black people did pass it. And then you have a mentality that, you see, I told you they were after me because I'm black. You know, those racists, they make life impossible for us blacks. Hold up, you just saw so many black people, their names were called, they passed the test. So it's untrue what you're saying. But when you're feeling like a victim, then the truth is not important, because any instance, any engagement, any encounter that you have with another person that is saying certain things that you don't like, or restricting your life or movement or whatever, then you always blame it on racism. You always blame it on, because you're white, you are here to get me. You're here to make my life miserable. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you feel that way, if you view the world that way, then you will experience it, because you will see certain things that are not there, but you will see it because you need and you want to see it, because that is part of your life, because it's almost like an identity. It's what Larry Elder says, like it's a mental illness, that it's a disease even, that you want to have it, you want to be oppressed, you want to be discriminated against, so you can prove your assumptions, because you then can see that, oh, I told you, those racists, my assumptions were right, my view of life was right, I am a victim, and those other people are evil. And then you cannot see objective reality. You cannot see that other black people, they succeed in life because in whatever way they succeeded the test. They showed themselves to be good enough. Instead of thinking that you need to be a better man, you start to feel like a victim, helpless, hopeless. You start to complain. All those white supremacists, they make life for us blacks so difficult. No, it's not like that. It's your mentality. You are wrong in that. And some people want you to be wrong in that because then they can use you for their own political gain or even financial gain. They want you to be poor, to be hopeless, to be dependent. While other people like me want you to succeed, but you have to bring the change from within. You have to restructure your mind. You need to rethink your assumptions. The Bible tells us that you need to renew your mind. Change the way you think. You need to transform your mind, your thoughts, your assumptions. Change the way you look at life. First look at yourself. Look at what you did wrong. Instead of looking outwardly, look inwardly. Look at your own life's decisions. What did you do? Did you study well for that exam? Or didn't you do that for whatever reason? Weren't you good enough at that moment in time? Then accept that and just be better. So you will succeed in life. And don't let anyone tell you that you are a victim, you're hopeless, you're helpless, you cannot achieve anything but by the help of some white liberals. Don't allow that. You're not weak, you're not soft, you're just strangled in your mind. The biblical teaching is that you need God for that. So instead of holding on to your own power or to yourself, there's a way to get out of your thoughts, to get out of your assumptions, and that is by the help of God. And God is there for anyone. If He's for me, then He's definitely for you.
I remember the dream team in the Olympics because we began losing matches. We can't send college kids anymore and expect them to win.
92.
So the dream team crushes everybody. Well, now we still send the best. We don't crush people anymore. It's competitive now because the rest of the world raised their game. They didn't lower the hoop. They didn't widen the hoop. We need to raise our game as black people.
That's such a good point. And I believe that wholeheartedly. You have to become better. America was once the best team. You know, they brought Michael Jordan and so many others to the Olympics. They won it easily. And instead of other countries complaining about those good players from America, they started to practice harder, better. They became better individually and as a team. So now they are competitive towards America. America's not winning anymore because other people became better. So the lesson from this video is become a better person, become better at everything, better in whatever quality that you have. Become a better player, become a better teacher, become a better lawyer, become a better construction worker, a better jailer, a better social worker, or whatever you are at the moment. Be better.
Every night versus the white kid versus the Asian kid, it's like this. If you don't put in the time, you're not going to get the results. We have to stop bitching and moaning and whining about systemic racism and raise our effing game. That's what I'm all about.
Ooh. Stop complaining, he calls it bitching, about all those things and just become better. That is what Larry Elder says about the black community, about any community in the world, but especially in this case of the American black community, because they are being indoctrinated into a victimhood by white liberals. Again, the Democrats want them to be poor, to be vulnerable, so they can rule over them. It's the same always everywhere. It's the same in my country, in Holland. They want to rule over you, and they can only rule over you when you allow that. When you are so demoralized that you allow other people to rule over you and you have no say in it. Don't allow that for yourself. Have some dignity, have some self-respect, and learn from people like Larry Elder that wants the best for you. Become a winner, be successful, and show everyone that doesn't believe in you that they were wrong. And if someone discriminates you, you cannot escape that. Choose other fields, other people, and be successful there. That's the best thing that you can do instead of whining and complaining. You are in control of your emotions. You are in control of your life, of your future. If you don't allow others to turn you into a victim. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this video to be helpful and valuable, then like this video and share it with your friends and family. Subscribe to my channel and also put the notifications on so you don't miss the next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.